is the hard disk? What is the use of hard disk? Secondary storage. It is a mass storage. So large amount of data we can able to store in our hard disk. Okay. So this is our hard disk is inside. This is called a platter, the round one, the disk one. It look like a disk one is a platter, which is actually magnetic coated disk. It is magnetic material is coated on this one. You can see this is a permanent magnet, and this is executor arm, and the tip of this arm is having read and write header. This will move inside to outside. Disk will be rotated by supporting with a spindle motor. The read and write header will go inside to outside like this. Okay. So it will read data on the platter and write the data on the disk. So it is like this. So it will rotate like this. It will be rotated. So then it will read data. Right. Okay, this is internal part. Okay, so this is hard disk, but we have to connect a hard disk. You have to connect your hard disk to a motherboard, right? So this is your hard disk, for example, and this is your motherboard. You have to connect your hard disk to the motherboard. For connectivity purpose, on the hard disk, there is a logical board. Okay. So normally we are transferring data in a bits manner, right? But that data should be written on the disk. In different pattern it will return. So depends upon their file system and all, it write on the disk. So this logical board give a connectivity to your motherboard, and there is a power supply also go for this one from SMPS. Okay. And this logical board, first connectivity, second, it converts the data into system hardware, your motherboard, CPU understanding way, and to store data in the platter, that understanding way it will convert. Okay. So how to write the data on the this platter, how to read the data from the platter, how to give the data to your system, how to take a data from system and put it on this platter. This logical board is there. Logical board is nothing but a circuit board. Okay, simple. Hard disk. Reverse side of hard disk, if you see, this is a logical board. It's actually it is a hard disk for a laptops, small hard disk, 2.5-inch hard disk. So this is the hard disk logical board, small hard disk logical boards. Internally, it is look like this, but outside, it is completely sealed like this. You can't open with a normal screwdriver. Okay, so you want to see this one, so you can't open with a normal screwdriver. This is top side, and the bottom side, you can see the logical board. And this logical board to the motherboard, there's two type of connectivities. Earlier we use IDE type of connectivity. Now the technology is ATA type of technology. Okay, it is a earlier we use IDE type, means a 40 pin connector. There is a thing. So then it is further developed into ATA technologies, advanced technology attachment. Advanced technology attachments means how you attach a hard disk to the motherboard. So that's attachment is that data connectivity type is ATA type, IDE ATA. In that one again, parallel advanced technology attachment. Some people call this PATA as a IDE, but IDE is a 80 pin, PATA is a 40 pin connector. PATA, parallel advanced technology attachment. This is 40 pin connector, ribbon cable we use it to connect. This is a 40 pin connector. and this is the ribbon cable. So one side goes to motherboard. These two are, we can connect it two hard disks, two CD-RAMs, one hard disk, one CD-RAM like this. Okay, two disk drives we can able to connect, and this is go to motherboard. To this is connected to your disk. Okay, you want to see how it is connected? So these are the cables. See this. This is a ATA or a PATA power connector, Molex connector. This is called a Molex connector from SMPS to hard disk. This is a data cable connector. Okay. So earlier days, it is a separate lesson like how you connect, how to connect kind of stuff. On motherboard, you can see this type of 40-pin connector original in a motherboard. See, this is the white one and the blue one. Okay. So this is our PATA connector on a motherboard. Okay. Other side of the cable, it is connected to hard disk. This is SATA connector. Motherboard, SATA connector. So I will tell SATA again. Sorry, I'm going to SATA. SATA, Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. It's a 7-pin data transmission cable. It's a single wire type only. SATA is a faster than PATA. So SATA 3 version is we are using, that is 6 Gbps data transmission speed. So SATA hard disk is look like this. And you can see this is the where data cable we can connect. This is the data cable how it is look like where it is connected. The next one, big one is power connector. SATA power connector. Like this. So this is a SATA data cable. This is a SATA power connector. You can see this one also. So this is one side. This cable is connected to hard disk. Other side is connected to motherboard. And this is power supply from SMPS. So same thing, SATA connector. See, this is power connector. This is data cable connector. Okay, so SATA is a faster than PATA. So simple thing only. I'm not going with who invented hard disk. What is the size of hard disk like this? Size of hard disk are varies, guys. In my childhood days, means not childhood days, when I was in my diploma, my sister is studying BCA that time. So we got a lap computer that is 10 GB, 20 GB hard disk, I think so. Later, I have got a laptop that is 40 GB hard disk. Okay. So like that, so hard disk size varies. I have external hard disk, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte kind of hard disk also there. 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte of hard disk also there nowadays. Guys, in a hard disk also, two type of hard disk. So means connectivity wise, PATA, SATA. Okay, hard disk for connectivity purpose. Okay, the connectivity wise, we can say PATA hard disk, parallel advanced technology attachment, 40-pin connectors, ribbon cable we are using. Another one is SATA type of connectivity. SATA hard disk means the connectivity is SATA type of connectivity is 7-pin single cable wire it is. Okay. So like this is PATA cable. So cable wise it is connected. SATA is a small points are there like this. You can connect with this. It's connectivity wise. But size wise, okay. So hard disk, internal hard disk means what is the use of hard disk? To store your operating system, applications, data. We store in our PC and our laptop. So that is called the internal hard disk, which is inside your PC. So there is a 3.5-inch hard disk, 2.5-inch hard disk is also there. 3.5-inch hard disk, 2.5-inch hard disk. Some people like I have a laptop, so I want to change my hard disk. I went to shop or give me a hard disk, or maybe I go to Amazon, I purchase a hard disk. It is not fitting into my laptop. Why? Because of I purchased 3.5 inches hard disk. Okay. So 3.5 inches hard disk generally used for desktop purpose. 2.5-inch hard disk, which is very small in size, is compared to 3.5. So you can see 3.5-inch hard disk. It is how much big it is. This is 2.5. It is very smaller. Okay. So that is a hard disk sizes. So 3.5 is for a desktop purpose. 2.5-inch hard disk for a laptops, generally for laptops and mini computers kind of stuff, mini PCs, laptops kind of stuff, 2.5 inches preferable. If in case you put a 2.5-inch hard disk in a hard downable desktop, no problem. But 2.5 inches consume very less power, and you connect a power supply of from your SMPS, it will give more power supply, more power. Okay, generally we can use it, guys, no problem. 2.5 you can use for desktop, laptop, mini PCs, but 3.5 it's specifically for a desktop purpose only. That is internal hard disk. What is this external hard disk? What is the external hard disk? For example, my laptop or a desktop having a full of data, so I need to remove some space in the hard disk, in my internal hard disk. So what I will do, I'll cut from my laptop, I store into external hard disk. Maybe I have to transfer heavy data. So usually, last time one of our sir asked about a operating system images. Okay, operating system images. So to install operating system and some softwares, application software kind of stuff, some operating system files kind of stuff, PPTs. It's heavy. It's not like a 2 GB, 3 GB kind of stuff. Okay, so it is each one is around 4 to 5 GB. So totally I transferred 4 or 5 files, almost like more than 20, 30 GB we transferred. Pen drives cannot having that much capable. Like I have maximum is 16 GB. That is also not now. So what it is, I use external hard disk, copy the data into external hard disk, connect it to other laptops, so we transfer it. To transfer heavy data, to store backups, you taken a backup and you don't store in your PC only, right? Better to store your backups in a other than your PC, means some other place. So better you can store in a external hard disk for storing normal data which you don't want to store in your PC, like movies, any downloaded movies, applications, big application kind of stuff. Regularly, you don't use that one. Games you download, store in external hard disk, backups, transferring heavy data, available in different sizes. So 160 GB, 320 GB, those things not available now. 1 TB, we can start with 1 TB. Okay, if you have a very less amount data, like you have a 200 to 300 GB data is there in your system. You know you want to put it in externally. 1 TB is enough. I said 100 to 200 or 300 kind of stuff. You have 500 GB data is there. Better to buy 2 TB. Why? Because data keeps increasing. Okay. You have only 10 GB data, not required. External hard disk generally not required. So why? Because you are having a 10 GB for last 1 year. Maybe it become a 10 to 11 GB in 1 year. So every year a very less rate of increment in your data. Okay. You are having heavy data means the data can be heavy again and again. So better to plan at least into three, into two, into three capacity pieces. Into three means current data into three or into four. Better to plan like that. Okay, guys, this is about a basic hard disk kind of stuff. Okay, I'm not okay. Um, So nowadays SSDs are came. Not in nowadays, guys. I have a C SSD abbreviation for almost all from my diploma. Means almost more than 20 years. I have seen SSD. That's abbreviation. Hard disk is okay. Hard disk is a hard disk drive. SSD, solid state drives, 2 marks. SCSI, small system, computer interface. Yeah, you got 2 marks. Like that it is there. Okay, abbreviations only we know in a olden days. Now these SSDs can able everywhere. Now mostly, last 3 years back I purchased one SSD, 240 GB SSD. The cost is around 3,000 rupees. The same SSD cost is now 1,600. Okay. So because SSDs become more popular, SSDs keep selling. Most of the devices using SSDs. So solid state drive, NAND memory, it is nothing but a NAND memory. Hard disk store data in the chips. Of course, it is non-volatile. Both are non-volatiles only, guys. Non-volatile means even you disconnect from power supply, data remains in the drive. And what is the SSD kind of stuff? Okay, so it's a lightweight, easy to carry, easy to transport, less power consumption, small in size compared to normal hard disk. Okay, very high speed, read and write speed, data transmission speed increases. What is the use of SSD? Either for your desktops or laptops or servers, even for a servers. Okay, even for a servers. So high speed read and write data transmission is high. Why? So then what is the purpose? Operating system, applications. So you will get a faster booting. Operating system means, so you press the power button, so fastly it will load because read and write speed of your SSD is good. So obviously faster operating system will load it. You try to run some application, so it's faster application running. Playing games also faster. Not suitable for regular data, so we can store, but SSD is a costly. Thing is, still SSD is costlier than a normal hard disk. Like you purchase 1 TB of hard disk and 1 TB of SSD. 1 TB of normal hard disk is around 3,000, 3,500. Okay, the cost it is there. Even you buy an external hard disk, it is 3,500 to 4,000. So even it's around a 3,000 rupees. But 1 TB of SSD is more than 8,000, means almost 9,000 to 10,000 rupees. Normal SSDs. Okay, the cost is almost like a more than double cost sometimes. So better is to store regular data. SSD is best. But laptops companies recently they started giving with no option, only SSD option. So they are giving SSD, you have to use that SSD. And compulsory, they have to give a dual storage capacity, means SSD and hard disk. Both they should give it. So people store up operating system application SSD and any extra data is there better to stay stored in a hard disk. Normal hard disk not required faster read and write. Okay, but no choice. Okay, so compare to SATA hard disk, guys. Compared to PATA hard disk, SATA hard disk are faster. Compared to this, SATA hard disk are faster. Compared to SATA hard disk, these SSDs are faster. Again, in SSD, two interfaces. SATA interface SSD. For example, you have a normal desktop or a old laptop. You want to change your SATA hard disk to SSD, you can take SATA SSD. For example, your hard disk is not working now, you want to change it. So then anyway, SSDs are faster. So you can buy SATA SSDs. Okay. Another interface, another type is there NVMe dot, sorry, NVMe M.2 type of SSDs. Okay, so this is SATA interface SSD NAND memory connected to SATA interface on your motherboard. Just how you connect a SATA hard disk, the same way you will connect this SSDs. The read and write speed is given here, which is faster than SATA hard disk, but it is not much faster compared to this one. This is faster. This is SSD M.2 type. It is faster than SATA hard disk itself. Costly. Cost is also varies. Insert into the motherboard like a CPU and RAM. Like how you insert into the CPU or a RAM, then you can insert it. SSD, SATA interface SSD, M.2 type of SSD. So this is M.2. You can try the cost also. 500 GB, 5 point this much cost. So can you see this is directly insert on a motherboard. So can you see this is a SSD directly attached on a motherboard. Maybe this one. So he's inserting the SSD directly on a motherboard. So M.2 is directly attaching onto the motherboard means so it is not only just a faster data transmission kind of stuff. It gives a direct connectivity motherboard means much faster than normal SATA hard disk compared to because we are not using any cables to connect the hard disk to this one directly it is connecting. So that is also improves the SATA means data transmission speed. Okay. So compared to PATA hard disk, SATA hard disk is faster and we are all using in a hard disk is SATA type of hard disk only. Next SSDs came, so most of hard disks are replaced with the SSDs nowadays. Even SSD also SATA interface SSD, which we can able to connect like a hard disk to the motherboard using SATA cable. Like that only we can connect it for desktops and laptops purpose, mini PCs purpose. M.2 type is directly connect on the motherboard. So you have to choose motherboard properly before you buying any SATA planning kind of stuff. Okay. So motherboard support is also must be required. It's a Korean channel to build it. It's not that one. The motherboard support is also required. In some motherboards, you can connect a 2, 3, 4 SSDs on a motherboard. Not more than that one, but can able to connect it. Okay. So this is difference between hard disk and SSDs. And again, hard disk is heavy, SSD is lighter. SSD is compared to hard disk, it is faster, lighter, easy to transport any place. Okay, easy to carry also. Next, SATA uses, sorry, SSD uses chips to store data, whereas hard disk use Platter to store the data. In SSD, there's no loose part kind of stuff, but in a hard disk, we have a lot of connectors inside. So any little damage occurs, so it will make damage internally. Okay. Again, SSDs are more suitable for operating system and applications, but hard disk are as compared to the speed, but cost in a cost wise is a SATA. Sorry, SSD is a little costlier than a normal hard disk. Okay, so this is hard disk and SSD differences, guys. Compulsory. The question is there. So it's NAND memory, data stores in chips, non-volatile, of course, anything it's non-volatile, lightweight, easy to carry, easy to transport, low power consumption. Okay, compared to SSD, hard disk is not lighter weight. So compared to compared to SS hard disk, SSDs are this one. Okay, small sizes, high speed data transmission, read and write speed increases, good for a faster booting, faster application loading kind of stuff. Not suitable for regular data we can store, but SSD is costly. Yeah, so that is the points. So actually I can tell this one separately, but I will tell this part. What is MBR and GPT now? So guys understand what is a hard disk and SSD differences.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is a very common question. That one. So I will explain this MBR and GPT, and then we'll take a small break, and then we'll back to the disk partitioning. Okay. So try to understand, guys. Anyway, I will try to show you what is this. Guys, this is my hard disk. When I connect my hard disk to the system, then I start a system. It is a fresh disk. Nothing is there. Just I purchased a new hard disk. I connected it. Okay. So system will ask, do you want to initialize the disk as MBR or GPT? So like this. Do you want to initialize the disk as MBR or as GPT? So to see that one, so guys, I'm going to disk management. Okay. So this is my disk 0. Convert into MBR means it is GPT type of disk. Okay. So I will tell the differences, but it is already initiated. If it is a new hard disk, definitely it will ask, do you want to configure as a MBR or GPT? So what I'm doing is for that option, I'm going to show you how to add a virtual hard disk. Go to action. Don't do it, guys, until unless you are okay with that one. So I'm creating a virtual hard disk. It is a virtual hard disk only. Okay. And I want to store this hard disk file in my other drive, D drive, in separate folder like a Latif VMs only storing. So this is a new disk, right? So it is N23 disk one. So I select a VHDX type of virtual hard disk because VHDX will I can create a more than 2 terabyte of disk, maximum 64 terabytes of disk. I'm going to GBs, but I'm creating something around a 40 GB disk. Maybe you can take 60, 100 GB disk also, no problem. Dynamically expanding. Okay, so I'm creating a disk, but you can observe here, not installed, not initiated. Disk is not initialized. So you have to initialize the disk. If it is a by virtual machine, it is very good. So this is, again a right click, not initialize. initialize the disk. That screenshot is already added. So that is enough screenshot. I think. Initialize the disk. So you can select MBR or GPT. It is a disk partitioning style. It is a disk partition style. So you can select initialize the disk, the style, partition style, either MBR or GPT. Okay. So I'm selecting as a MBR. So if it is a MBR, then it is showing convert into GPT. Sorry, I selected as a GPT, it shows converted into MBR, means it is GPT disk. Okay, if I connect into MBR, now it is showing convert into GPT. Again, now it is GPT. There is a multiple ways to know how to check all these things, guys. So one is like a from right click, you can see convert into MBR means it is a GPT disk. It is showing a thick color, but it is not showing thick color, it is gray color. So why? Because of it is empty disk. So you can change it directly. But whenever you create a partitions inside, you cannot change it. Okay. Another way also to know what is this MBR GPT kind of stuff. Like you put a disk part. So in the disk part, type list disk. See, both are GPT type of drives only. If in case I change it, convert into MBR. So it is MBR type of disk. In other words, you can go to PowerShell. Get disk. So it is this 100 GB is MBR. This is GPT disk. Two hard disks. Okay. If you are make it as a this is MBR. Okay. If you convert into GPT, then it shows it is GPT. But when you create a partition inside, you cannot convert it. Okay. Again, guys, when you insert a fresh hard disk, new hard disk, so you have to initialize as a MBR or a GPT. Okay. So if you initialize as a MBR, so what is that? If you initialize as GPT, then what will happen? Okay. Before going again, you take a fresh system, means you take a fresh machine, no OS, hard disk is there, but OS is not there. So you try to install a OS in the disk, right? So you have a hard disk and you try to install a operating system. So without operating system, you can't tell disk is MBR or GPT. If you have an operating system, so you can interact with your system, so then you can tell the disk is MBR or GPT. Okay, you can tell MBR GPT, but you cannot change from MBR to GPT, or you cannot initialize MBR GPT once partitions are made. Okay. So, but how the first disk means the system without operating system. The disk does not contain any information because it is just a unallocated disk. It is nothing is allocated. Okay. So while you are installing operating system, it will initialize the disk as MBR or GPT. Okay. So how this is will happen, guys? You are installing a operating system, and your ROM is BIOS type. So already I told ROM, BIOS, firmware kind of stuff. So on motherboard, you are having BIOS. It is initialized as MBR automatically. So whatever the operating system you are installing, but your framework is, your firmware is BIOS. Then it is initialized as a. For example, instead of BIOS, you are using UEFI, and you are installing OS which supports UEFI, or latest one. Okay, supporting UEFI type. So you are installing operating system and or a recent operating system like Windows 7, not even a Windows 7, it is 8, 8.1, Windows 10, okay, 11. These are all. So what is this? This recent operating system you want to install, and your framework is UEFI, then it is initialized as a GPT. Okay. So while you're installing operating system and your firmware will decide what kind of it should be initialized, like MBR or GPT. It will initialize as MBR because of your operating system may be older, or maybe you are using only BIOS kind of stuff. Okay. While installing operating system, it is initialized as GPT, means you are using UEFI and you are installing UEFI supported operating system, means very recent operating system like Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. These are all from that version only. But I didn't tell you, if you initialize as MBR, then what will happen? So if it is a MBR, so what will happen? In the first track of this hard disk, the starting segment only. In this one, it's create this MBR record. MBR record means master boot record. Master boot record. This record contains information about how many partitions you made it, size of the partition based on the sectors allocation. Okay, where is active partition and where is operating system partition, bootable files location, that entire information in the MBR record, which is inside your hard disk only. Okay. Now, if you initialize the MBR, you can create a maximum of 4 primaries. If in case you create a primary partitions like this, for example, this is 500 GB hard disk. I created 100 GB here, 50, 50, 50. Means it's a 250. The remaining is 250, which we cannot able to use for anything. Okay. So first four primaries are completed. So you cannot able to create additional partitions. Instead of that one, so you can adjust the disk size limits. It is a 500 only. So I can adjust like this is 100 GB. This is something like another 100 GB, 100 GB. And remaining 200 GB as a single drive. This is primary, primary, primary. But for primary creation option is directly removed in the Windows 7 onwards almost. So what it will do like this. So we can create three primaries. Okay. One primary, second primary, third primary. Three primaries completed. And a in a fourth partition, when I'm creating a new fourth partition, what it will make, it make entire remaining as a single extended partition. So this is called a extended partition. So once three primary is completed, so when you create a fourth partition, it creates as a extended, remaining become extended partitions only. In this extended, you can create multiple logical drives. Okay. Multiple logical drives. Okay. So again, we can create four primary, or we can create three primary, one extended. In a one extended, we can create a multiple logical drives. Next, in each partition, we are creating a partitions. Maximum of each partition size is around up to 2 terabytes. We cannot create more than 2 terabytes. Each partition maximum size is up to 2 terabyte of partition you can able to create. Guys, understand MBR? So you take a hard disk is initialized as MBR. How many partitions we can able to create it? That's we can see. Guys, this is my 100 GB hard disk. I'm creating simple volume. So one second, this is MBR disk. Next, next. So 10 GB means 100240 means it's a 10 GB. First partition I'm creating. I didn't say anywhere MBR GPT kind of stuff. You want to see, I will create another partition. 20480 means 20 GB. So first is a primary partition 10 GB, second is 20 GB. You can see driver letter assignment, and here it is format only. So it's not telling about any primary or secondary here. So two partitions are created. Totally 30 is used, 70 is remaining. Next. 20480, again 20 GB. Great. EFG. So three primaries completed, guys. So I'm going to create a fourth one. Okay, I'm creating another 10 GB here. 10240. So three primary partitions are created. I want to create a new partition. What will happen? Okay. So three primaries completed, and when I'm creating another 10 GB, so it's not a primary. Now it's a part of extended partition. So you can see this blue color and this dark green color and the light color. So this is free space out of 50, 40 GB still available. So you can create another partition. So this is a logical drive. Like you create a new means it is logical, also new logical drive. Another volume, see it is. Okay. So how many partitions we can create? We can create multiple partitions under extended partition as a logical drives. Okay. Three primary completed. And this part is what I have done. Sorry. This is our extended partition. This is logical drives. Logical partition is different. Logical drive is different, guys. What is meant by partition? What is use of partition at least? Anybody? What is meant by partition? Separate a hard disk into separated disk into multiple logical partitions. Logically, we are dividing physical hard disk. So that is MBR, master boot record. This disk having a record called master boot record. Every disk having a master boot record, which contains information about your primary partitions and in all partitions kind of stuff, and about a bootloader's operating system location. That is MBR. Next is a GUID partition table. What is GUID partition table? You can create 128 partitions. This There's no limit, no extended logical drives are there. So just simply can create 128 primary partitions you can create. So no extended and logical drive. Okay, guys. So we can see this one more point is we are missing, that is single partition is more than 2 terabyte up to 18 EB as per certain textbooks. Some places it's showing 9.2 ZB gigabyte. Okay. This is also maintaining a MBR record is partitions related record only. You want to see practically? Guys, I cannot convert into GPT because of disk already having partitions. So I'm going to remove all the partitions. Do not do it on your PC, guys. So I'm deleting partitions. The sound is directly putting in my ear. Okay, now it is unallocated, means no partitions at all. So we can convert into GPT. So I said convert into GPT. Now it is showing MBR. Of course, you can check with the command prompt also. So I'll try again. Now it is GPT type partition. So I'm creating a volume. So this time I will take small volume 1024 0. So I'm creating 4096, means 4 GB volume also I'm creating. First volume is created. Second one is also created, blue color. Okay, this is I'm creating. See, three partitions are created. I'm creating fourth one. Hold on. So 10240. No problem. Another 10 GB I'm creating. See, I created more than 3, even more than 4, but still it is not creating any extended or a logical drives. No extended, no logical drives. So this is MBR. Next one is GPT. Now it is GPT. We created a multiple partitions, no extended, no logical drives. Okay, this is MBR and GPT. Again, what is MBR and GPT, guys? Partition style. When you insert a new fresh hard disk, the disk has to be initialized as a MBR or a GPT. Sometimes operating system assign as MBR, or sometimes user has to give as MBR or GPT, depends upon situation. It's a partition styles. If you initialize as a MBR, you can create a 4 primary or 3 primary, one extended. In one extended, you can create a multiple logical drives. And you can create a single partition size maximum up to 2 terabytes. In GPT, you can have at least you can have 128 partitions and no extended, no logical kind of stuff. So one single partition is more than 2 terabytes, and even it support very higher like 18 EB or 9.2 ZB kind of stuff. Okay, so even operating system BIOS UEFI support wise also it will be initialized while installing operating system. So most of our laptops and desktops coming recently are UEFI based. So generally we are using Windows 10, Windows 11 operating system. So automatically it will initialize as a CPT. Okay.
Okay,
So these are the few points. I'll keep it this one like that. So next one is about a disk management and what are the things I showed. That's one only. Disk management, partitions, a few points like I showed how to create a partition, but stripping volume, simple volume is there. Not a strip, the shrink volume extending. This part also I will show you after a small break. Okay, not a small break, big break one. So 10, 4, 4. So 4:40 is okay. Okay,
okay,
5 minutes
sir.
plus or minus is okay, no problem. Take a break, have a tea, don't sleep.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.